Hey folks, wanted to do, not only did I want to do, I am doing another video here of the Kaspa chart. There's some interesting things going on and possibly a very significant bullish setup in the works. We'll talk about that. But first thing I want to show is this is all of the trading that we've seen on MEXC. Going back all the way to the end of last September, where we traded for about a week. You can see we opened, kind of zoomed up, then fell back in a consolidation pattern, a descending wedge, broke out of that, then slid back in just really a very narrow channel. Considering how aggressive that move was, it was interesting. There was no real strong a daily candle to the downside after that. It just kind of slid down for about 5.5 weeks. Then we had that nice run for almost 3 months, and then we encountered resistance up around 4.2 cents, and now that's where we're going to pick it up. First thing I want to show you though is that we had a support line underneath 1, 2, 3 touches on a support line, and we're currently underneath that line. You will see that that I have what almost looks to be like a road right here. This is the channel tool at TradingView, and what it looks to me like, and I've seen this happen before in stocks and particularly in the S&P 500. And that is, you'll be in a channel and it's rising at a nice pace. Then you'll break that channel, but you don't really break it to set up necessarily a strong downward move. Sometimes all you're really doing is you're moving from the fast lane to the slow lane. And I'll tell you why I think that might be the case here. It's pretty simple, is that the support line that we had that is all to the above this blue area here. If you look at where at the support that we've had for the past 2 months, it's been at the same angle of support. Okay, if we zoom in here, you will see there on the 23rd of May, there the 6th of June. And again, not exactly, but again, this past week on Thursday, we pretty much came down and tagged that same lower line, and that is parallel to the very bullish line that we had been rising in for months prior to breaking. The other thing I want to show you here that's important is after we hit that 4.2 cent high, we started to sell back down in a descending broadening pattern. And this is the upper line of resistance. This is the lower line of support. You can see what happens in a broadening pattern. Well, basically it's people freaking out. You have people who sell initially sort of, well, I'm just going to take some profits. Then all of a sudden you start to have people who sort of lose their crap, and they start to bail. What was interesting here is inside of this descending broadening pattern, we had another descending broadening pattern. Okay? These two green lines. And there was an even smaller descending broadening pattern inside of this green one. It's really interesting to see what's going on there. But the good news is that on June 15th, we broke out of the descending broadening pattern. We back tested this line. Then we had a nice run up to about 2.8 cents. Tried to get over 2.8 again, couldn't do it. Fell back a bit. And now for the past day plus, we have been rallying again. So, what's important here? The important thing is this freak out descending broadening pattern is now underneath us. So I believe we're currently creating something new, and possibly something extremely bullish. And you can see these yellow lines here. We've had a dip, a big dip, and if this continues to be a smaller dip and we end up breaking out over this purple line up here, then that would be an inverted head and shoulders pattern, and I would call it not a bottom, I would call it a continuation pattern because of where it's happening here. And by the way, we've had inverted head and shoulders patterns in Kaspa twice already. They're smaller than this, and they actually produced extremely strong results. We had a little one right here. It's not showing up anymore for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. But this was a little inverted head and shoulders pattern. If we go back to what kicked us off at the very beginning, this was a small inverted head and shoulders pattern. Seeing potentially a large inverted head and shoulders is a very, if confirmed, this would almost certainly lead to a new all-time high. And the target, and again, that is if we get over this purple neckline from this pattern right here, that target minimum is just under 7 cents. So what would it take, let's say, for us to get over this purple line? Well, in stocks, in stocks that trade with a lot of liquidity, and stocks that are priced, let's say they're not penny stocks, because penny stocks are extremely volatile, like crypto. Let me just back up. For a typical stock or an index, the rule of thumb is you want to get more than 1% above a given trend line in order to say that trend line is broken. For a penny stock, you throw that out the window. You probably look for 3 to 4%. I would say in crypto, we got to get 5% above that line. So where would that be? Let's say in a couple of days, that line would be at 27, let's call it. It'd be at 2.7 cents. So to get over that line with I think the term I might want to use here, with conviction or with gusto, I'm thinking 3 cents. So if we can work our way over 3 cents, it's interesting because that would clearly be above above the last high. Because we stalled out at just under I think just under 2.8 cents. So if we get up to 3 cents, then I believe we are on our way to a minimum of 6.86 or 6.88, call it 7 cents. Now keep in mind, that is a minimum target. The little inverted head and shoulders we had back here had a target of about 2 cents. We got up to 4.2. So you look at an inverted head and shoulders pattern, or any pattern for that matter, and you measure. When someone says this pattern has a target of X, what they really mean is it has a minimum target of X. So let's look at the chart one more time. And even though that, by the way, this green line is how you measure the target. You measure the depth of the pattern, and then you figure, well, let's say we break out somewhere in the next week or so. That's how you measure what the target is. But this green line is not the path. I'm not saying that we come up to this green line and then you blink and we're at 7 cents. As a matter of fact, more than likely, I'm not saying we couldn't get back up above this shaded blue area here. But I think the more likely outcome would be that we stay inside of this blue shaded area, and that would mean that we could reach that target perhaps in the middle of September. So, of course, this is crypto. We could do a repeat of what we did over here back in March. But the more likely outcome, and I think the more reasonable expectation, is that we stay in this shaded area and we end up at that target area sometime in September. Now, what would happen, let's say, if all of a sudden we woke up in a couple of days and Binance says, "Congratulations, Kaspa, you are now listed." Well, you know, there are fundamental things that could happen that could push us up more quickly. And let's not forget, we're looking at a pattern here that is not confirmed. Okay? We need to get over this purple line before we start talking about this target. Okay? So just keep that in mind. But right now, again, given that we're up and out of this descending broadening pattern, that means that that leg down has shown signs of reversal. If we get up to 3 pennies, then I think about 7 cents should be probably about 75 to 80% odds. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, I'm not proud. I'll put my Kaspa address down underneath it if you wanna tip me a little bit if you find this helpful. If you don't, that's fine too. It's always kind of nice to take a look at the wallet and say, hey, where'd that come from? But anyway, that aside, thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this. Go Kaspa.